The movie opens inside an airplane, where a group of paratroopers, led by Sergeant Renson, are flying to Germany. Their mission is to destroy a Nazi radio tower situated in a church. Jacob Rosenfeld, one of the soldiers and a Jewish paratrooper, gazes nervously out of the plane, feeling more secure in the air than he would on the ground. Lyle Tibbett, a sniper in the team, teases Rosenfeld, suggesting that traveling by boat is actually safer than flying. While the soldiers chat among themselves, Edward Boyce, another paratrooper, looks anxious. Morton Chase, the unit's photographer, approaches Corporal Lewis Ford, an explosives expert, asking if he can take some photos. Ford, absorbed in his thoughts, tells Chase to return to his seat. At that moment, one of the paratroopers asks Boyce for gum. As Boyce pulls out a piece, his chain slips out of his pocket. Tibbett seizes the chance to tease him, saying that a lucky charm will not help him in combat. Just then, Sergeant Renson emerges from his cabin to give the team a final briefing on their mission. As they approach the target area, the plane begins to shake violently and is hit by the enemy multiple times. Although the aircraft manages to avoid some of the attacks, bullets from below penetrate the cabin, causing several squad members to be killed. The signal light in the plane turns red, signaling the time for the soldiers to prepare to jump. Just as the light turns green, the plane catches fire, and some soldiers are thrown toward the back, burning in the flames. The rest of the crew jumps out of the plane before it explodes. Boyce is grabbed by the sergeant and pulled out of the plane just in time. He tumbles through the chaos of gunfire and explosions in the air, eventually landing in the water. Struggling with his parachute, he manages to swim to shore and begins to search the woods for his comrades. During his search, he comes across the sergeant, who is surrounded and taunted by German soldiers. As Boyce prepares to act, Ford appears from behind and stops him, explaining that their real mission is not to rescue the sergeant but to destroy the tower. They both watch helplessly as the Germans take down their sergeant. After this, Boyce and Ford continue through the woods and come across 3 more soldiers from their unit. They are relieved to find other survivors and quickly form a group. While wandering through the woods, Dawson, one of them, accidentally steps on a landmine, causing an explosion that kills him and injures the others. Ford then guides the remaining soldiers to a safer location. While resting by a puddle, the team stumbles upon some strange remains of unidentified creatures. Based on the bone structure, they speculate that the remains might belong to a dog or a jackal. Just as they become alarmed by strange noises nearby, they encounter a French girl named Chloe Laurent. When she sees the soldiers, she tries to flee, but they catch up with her. Ford then asks Boyce, who can speak French, to persuade Chloe to guide them to the church. The group heads to the village where the church is located. Chloe leads them to her home and explains that she lives there with her 8-year-old brother and her aunt. Ford instructs Boyce to keep an eye on Chloe while the rest of the team inspects the area. Chloe attempts to return to her house, but the noise draws the attention of her neighbor, Mrs. Lesnar, who reports Chloe to the German guards for being out after curfew. Chloe tries to hide Boyce in a small space while the Germans search her. After checking her bag, the soldiers let her go. Boyce then emerges from his hiding spot and rejoins his team. Shortly after, Chloe returns and offers them shelter in her home. Inside, they find Chloe's brother Paul in the hallway and her aunt in a room, coughing. Chloe reassures them that her family will not cause any trouble. In the attic, the team begins planning their next move, gathering information from Chloe about the church area. Suddenly, they hear shouting from the street and see a woman being executed by the Germans. Chloe explains that such killings have become common in the village since the Germans arrived. She tells them that her parents and other innocents have also been murdered by Germans. Chloe warns that they cannot stay there for long because of frequent inspections, but Ford assures her that they only need 4 hours to complete their mission. Ford assigns Tibbett and Chase to keep watch outside, while Boyce is tasked with checking the safety of the house. As Boyce searches the house, he encounters a burned woman coughing in a room, frightening him. Chloe then takes him to tend to his wound and explains that her aunt stopped speaking after returning from the church. During their conversation about their pasts, German soldiers arrive to inspect the house. When the German commander Waffner enters, Ford and Boyce hide in the attic with Paul, who is terrified. Waffner tries to force himself on Chloe, and when she refuses, he threatens to take Paul to the church. As Waffner is speaking, Paul accidentally drops his baseball, making a noise. Waffner orders his soldiers to search the attic. Fortunately, Paul blocks the entrance, making it seem like the boy is just playing baseball. The soldiers then return downstairs. Reluctantly, Chloe allows Waffner to abuse her. Boyce cannot stand the behavior and intervenes, holding Waffner at gunpoint. Ford, seeing no other option, assists Boyce in subduing Waffner. They restrain Waffner, and Ford instructs Boyce to check on Tibbet and Chase. Boyce heads out and makes his way through the woods. As he approaches the church, he hides when he sees a vehicle carrying sick and disfigured people. The Germans dump them into the bushes and set them on fire. Disturbed by this, Boyce continues through the forest and spots another vehicle. He hides in the bushes nearby, but is suddenly chased by a dog. In his haste, he climbs into the enemy's truck, only to discover that it is filled with dead soldiers. As he peeks out of the truck, he panics at the sight of German soldiers. When the truck comes to a stop, he covers himself with the dead bodies and waits for the right moment to slip out. As Boyce sneaks out of the truck, he finds himself in an underground area of the church that resembles a prison. He hears muffled noises coming from small cells and decides to investigate. In a dark room, he discovers a large container filled with blood. Noticing movement in a body bag overhead, he opens it and finds a person soaked in serum. Quickly, he grabs a syringe from a nearby table and escapes the area. While he explores further, Boyce hears someone calling for help. He pulls back the curtain to find a head without a body begging for assistance. Terrified, Boyce leaves the room and discovers Rosenfeld strapped to a bed in the next room. He attempts to free him, but is interrupted when Germans arrive. He watches as they inject a dead soldier with serum and then quickly dispose the body in the tunnel. After the Germans leave, Boyce removes a large needle from Rosenfeld and frees him. The two of them then make their way back to Chloe's home. At Chloe's house, Tibbet and Chase have already arrived and are waiting for Boyce. When they hear him calling for help from downstairs, they rush to his aid. Downstairs, they find Rosenfeld, who explains that he was captured immediately after landing. Boyce tries to describe the experiments he witnessed in the church, but the others struggle to understand him. He then shows Ford the syringe he took from the lab. Ford takes the syringe and confronts Waffner, hoping to get some answers. However, Waffner denies any knowledge about it. Ford also inquires about the soldiers and the troops stationed at the church, but Waffner remains tight-lipped. As the squad gets ready to assault the church, they plan to take Waffner with them. So Chase goes to check on Waffner, who pretends to be unconscious, but shoots Chase fatally when the opportunity arises. Hearing the gunshots, the team rushes upstairs to stop Waffner. With Chase on the brink of death, Boyce decides to inject Chase with the serum. After a few minutes, Chase revives with renewed strength and soon becomes violently mutated. He begins attacking his own teammates, prompting Ford to shoot him several times. Waffner then explains that the serum can transform dead soldiers into mutated zombie-like creatures. As he reveals this, Chase rises and moves to attack Ford again, but Boyce intervenes, knocking Chase to the ground and finishing him off. Amidst the chaos, Waffner seizes the chance to escape unnoticed. Waffner descends and grabs Paul to ensure his escape. A group of German soldiers comes to Waffner's aid and takes Paul hostage. Despite being shot multiple times, Waffner manages to flee in a vehicle. Chloe, desperate to save her brother, chases after the vehicle. Seeing her distress, Boyce offers to help Chloe rescue Paul, but Ford initially refuses, stressing the importance of sticking to their mission. Tibbet then suggests that they can handle their mission and rescue Paul simultaneously. Ford, though hesitant, eventually agrees to the plan. Meanwhile, Waffner arrives at the lab with Paul and immediately seeks out the serum. Despite Dr. Schmidt, the head of the experiments, trying to intervene, Waffner injects himself with 2 doses of the serum. Dr. Schmidt expresses concern, noting that they have never tested the serum on the living and are unsure of its effects. Waffner, undeterred and with half of his face damaged from the earlier shootout, reveals to everyone in the room that he has regained his strength. At the same time, Ford and his team are assigning their roles and planning their entry into the church. Boyce, who knows the best entry points, leads the team. They assign specific tasks to each member, who will split up during the mission. To initiate their plan, Chloe deliberately attracts the attention of German soldiers, leading them on a chase through the town. She manages to lure one of the soldiers to a nearby bridge. As the soldier attempts to assault her, Ford's team captures him, ties him to his own vehicle rigged with explosives, and sends towards the church. The explosion injures several German soldiers in the front gate. Rosenfeld and Tibbet then carry out a frontal assault to create a diversion, while Ford, Boyce, and Chloe use the sewers to enter the church. Once inside, Chloe, eager to find Paul, parts ways with Ford and Boyce. In a hallway, she confronts two soldiers at gunpoint and, after failing to get information about her brother, shoots one of them. Chloe then demands that the other soldier guide her to Paul, but he tricks her into a room with a dead body. Meanwhile, Ford and Boyce seize control of the communication room, and Ford sets timers to destroy the facility. Back with Chloe, the soldier draws his gun to attack her as she enters the room. Boyce arrives just in time to rescue her. As they leave, they witness a zombie dragging the soldier into the cell. Without delay, they hurry to find Paul. Boyce leads Chloe to the room where he previously found Rosenfeld. When they arrive, Paul calls out to Chloe and they quickly free him. They then make a swift exit, but Boyce continues with his mission. As Chloe directs Paul towards the exit, a zombie pulls her back. Paul escapes back to the village while Chloe fights off the zombie. Despite shooting the zombie multiple times, it does not die and continues to chase her. As she flees, she finds and grabs a flamethrower. When the zombie shows up, she burns it and escapes the church. While Ford and Boyce set the timers for the explosion, they are confronted by Waffner and Dr. Schmidt, respectively. Waffner, overpowering Ford, defeats him, while Boyce manages to kill Dr. Schmidt. Amid the chaos in the streets, Paul makes his way through the gunfire. Seeing Paul in danger, Tibbet rushes to protect him, but is shot by the enemy as he aids Paul to safety. Chloe arrives, attacks the Germans, and reunites with Paul, Tibbet, and Rosenfeld. Conversely, Waffner drags Ford to the lab and impales him on a metal hook. Waffner reveals that the serum was created using the villagers' bodies to extract the ancient power of a black tar that has been hidden beneath the village for centuries. As Waffner explains, Boyce arrives and starts shooting at him, leading to a fierce fight. While Boyce and Waffner battle, Ford uses all his strength to free himself from the hook. He injects himself with the serum and joins the fight against Waffner. The two engage in a reckless struggle. Realizing he cannot defeat Waffner, Ford positions an oxygen tank near him. Boyce shoots the tank, causing an explosion. Boyce moves to help Ford, but Ford, aware of the serum's effects, locks himself in the lab and orders Boyce to complete the mission. Ford then triggers an explosion that destroys the lab. Following Ford's instructions, Boyce sets the timer on the tower and exits just before it explodes. He reunites with Rosenfeld, Tibbet, Paul, and Chloe in the village. Later, Boyce reports to the commanding officer, giving credit to Ford for the success of their plan. The commanding officer inquires about rumors of an underground lab in the church. Boyce, echoing Ford's opinion, dismisses the idea and says he did not find anything worth investigating. Eventually, Boyce rejoins his team and they prepare to head home, concluding their mission.